how to take in user input. So user input is basically when the computer or the code interacts with the user and then stores whatever responses they had and then does something with it. So I'll just take this code from last time and delete it. So one of the key differences in taking in user input is that we'll have to do something called an import. So as you know, methods and things such as, for example, math.random um, are methods embedded within Java. However, in order to make sure Java isn't going to be like a 14 gigabyte application, it doesn't download everything from Java. So that's where you have to import certain things that you need. One of these things will be um, Java Scanner. So that's what will allow users to type in some information. So we can import this from Java by typing the following. So import java.util.scanner. And then notice how the scanner has a capital S. Now, the reason why this has turned this gray color is because it says that this import statement has not been used. And the way that you first set up this import statement is once you have imported scanner, you need to set up a scanner object. The way that you set that up is you write scanner, capital S, and then you can name your scanner anything. I usually name it input. However, you can name it response, uh, user, anything that you want. So this part is completely up to you. I'll go ahead and write input is equal to new. Notice how new is a keyword, and so Java automatically understands this word and it highlights it in this pink color. New scanner, right? And both sides of the scanner are blue now, and then parentheses. And then within the parentheses, I will write system with a capital S dot dot in, and then I'll close it off with a semicolon. So now everything is good. The only thing that is gray is this input, which is basically saying, hey, you never used this input. Now, we use this input mostly after a print statement because you want to ask the user or display something to the user before you ask for some kind of response. But I'll show why this is important. So I'll go ahead and I will ask, I will have a print statement out that basically asks the user what is your name. So system.out.println in parentheses what is your name, and then I will add my semicolon, and then I'm going to have a string variable set up. So name is going to be a string. Nobody's name is a number. So I'm going to go ahead and have a string variable. So I'm going to call it string name is going to be equal to, and then this part is kind of important. So this is where you use your scanner. So input, which is what I named my scanner over here, input dot next, and then for string, it's next line. And then open close parentheses and then close that off. So now let me explain this a little bit more in detail. So what this does is, what this input scanner does is, it's going to take in information into the system from whatever the user gives. And so here I use this scanner object and say, hey, I want to grab the next line that the user gives me. And a line is denoted by an enter. So the user can type in their name and then they'll hit enter, and that entire line of text and code will be stored in this variable called name. So how am I going to know if this works or not? I'm going to have another print statement right here and that basically says system.out.println, and it's basically just going to say hello, and then it's going to have plus name. semicolon that, and then let's run it and see if this works. And so once it builds here, it's going to ask what's my name. So I'm going to type in, for example, Tom. I'll hit enter and then it'll say hello Tom. Now obviously you can see that I did not hard code Tom. Now that's taking in a string. How about taking in an int value? So I'll go ahead and I'll delete all of this, and I'm going to have another print statement that says system.out.println. It's going to be saying how old are you? And then I'm going to have another variable. This time it's going to be an int. So int age is going to be equal to input, which is my scanner name. So it basically allows the user to enter in information. And then it's going to be next int. And notice how the I in int is capital. It's because it's a second word. Next is the first word. Int is the second word. And so the second word needs to be capitalized. And then that'll be it. And then I'll have another print statement that says system.out.println. Wow. Age is cool. And this is basically the same concept as what we had beforehand, but instead of having this variable out here on the side, I just have it in between two strings. As long as I have those plus signs on both sides, I should be good. I'm going to go ahead and run this code, and it's going to be asking me how old I am. How old are you? I'll just write 13, and it's going to print back, wow, 13 is cool. And so that works for any kind of variable right here. I could have, instead of an int, I could have a float, I could have a double, and instead of input next int, all I have to do is just replace that int part with capital D double, and that should work as well. I'll run the code one last time, and now instead of giving it, so I'll first give it 12.0, and it's going to say, wow, 12.0 is cool. However, I'm going to now give it an int value. So how old am I? I'm going to give it 11. Now it's going to say 11.0 is cool. So now you can automatically see that I gave Java the answer of 11, which is an int value, but it was expecting a double value from both this side and this side. Because it was expecting a double value, it automatically put that 0.0 on the back of the number that I gave, 11, and so it stores the variable age as 11.0. Now let's try to flip this around and see what happens. Instead of having a double, I'm going to give it an int, and then on this side, instead of having age as a double, I'm going to store it as an int. And now I'm going to try to give it a double value. Now let's see what kind of a response Java gives back to me. How old am I? I'm going to say 12.4, and it gave me an error. It's basically saying mismatch error. And it's basically saying, hey, I expected an int, and you gave me a double. Now, if we looked at the previous example, when I gave it an int and it was expecting a double, it automatically plopped on that 0.0. But since it can't turn a double into an int without rounding it down, thus messing up the value, it's going to give me this error. So that was just a little view into how to use Scanner and how to basically take in user input.